Hey, what's up? I'm Norris. And whenever you see me, just know wifey is extremely busy. And today we'll be doing her latest Mimi G style simplicity pattern 9636, View D, the leggings. Now, if you're new to sewing and just need a refresh course, you can click the sewing basics video linked in the description box below. Now, because this is not a learn to sew video, if you need more instructions than that, you should sign up for our sewitacademy.com, which you get the first 5 courses for free when you sign up for the free trial. All right, let's get started. Okay, so once again, like I said, we'll be using Mimi G's simplicity pattern 9636, and we'll be working on View D, which are the leggings. Okay, so once again, if you look on the back, you'll see all the fabric suggestions, all the notions. We're going to need 3 invisible zippers. And then also, once again, you can check your sizes here, but also make sure you check your finished garment measurements to give you a very specific measurement on once it's sewn up. Okay, so once you go through all the details, let's go through all the pattern pieces. Okay, the first pattern is pattern piece number 15. You want to cut this on the fold. It says cut 1 out of interfacing, but if you're making leggings out of the traditional legging material, I would suggest you not to interface it. And then also pattern piece number 16, which is the back facing. You want to cut 1 of these on the fold, and the same thing with the interfacing with this one. And if I didn't mention it, pattern piece number 15 is the front facing. Okay, first is pattern piece number 11. The front, you want to cut 2 of these out of fabric. Pattern piece number 12 is the front side. You want to cut 2 of these out of fabric. Pattern piece number 13 is your back. You want to cut 2 of these out of fabric. And then last but not least, pattern piece number 14, your side back. You want to cut 2 of these out of your fabric. Okay, once you cut all your pattern pieces out of your fabric and you get all your zippers, we can begin sewing. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do, we're going to take your front and your side front, and we're going to turn them right sides facing. And then there should be 2 notches for you to pin first. And then there should be a dot where the zipper with the invisible zipper should stop down here at the bottom. I did a notch, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a pin right there just so I know where my zipper is going to stop. So if you're looking at the instructions, I want you to put them down and listen closely to me for this invisible zipper. I'm gonna make it easier for you. Okay, so what we're gonna do first, we're gonna start here at the top. We're gonna stitch all the way down using a regular stitch until we get to our dot or notch, depending on whatever you did to mark it. You wanna back stitch and break your threads. You wanna change your machine stitch to a basting stitch at this time, and you wanna continue all the way down with a basting stitch, okay? So do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so I'm back from the sewing machine, and I also went and pressed this seam open. Now, if you're using a delicate fabric, you want to make sure you use a pressing cloth. So moving along, before we continue, I want to measure down 1 3/8 of an inch from the bottom of the leggings, and I'm going to put a little notch right there. Now, this is where we're going to put the top of our zipper, where our pull is. All right, because we do have to hem it. So that just gives us a little room. And then now I'm going to head over. Okay, so now you want to grab your invisible zipper. Now I didn't have an extra black invisible zipper, but they're supposed to be invisible. So I'm going to put this in a way we won't even see it. Okay, so we're going to line up the center of the zipper on the center of the seam right here. And you want that zipper pull to be right there at the top of where we cut that little notch for where the hem is going to start. Okay, so now I'm just going to pin this in place right quick. And if you haven't noticed, the zipper is faced upside down. The wrong side of the zipper is faced up. Okay, so I'm just going to temporarily pin this so I can have it in place while I head to the machine. All right, so once you have it set up like this, let's head over to the machine. Okay, I'm switching up my presser foot for the zipper foot, and we're going to be basting the side just for right now. I'm just going to place that in the center, and I went ahead and moved my needle over too so I can get as close as I can. And mind you, we're just basting this down. So you can check to see if the center of the zipper is matched up with the center the seam, and when it is, you can lay it down and just start basting. And mind you, we're only working on one of the seam allowance, okay? Everything else is to the left. So it's just this one seam allowance here. And then once we get to our notch, or where our dot is, we're going to backstitch and cut our threads. And we want to baste the other side the same exact way. Okay, as you can see, we went ahead and basted both of the seam allowance down onto the zipper tape. And now what I'm going to do now is just take that basting out the center. Okay, now you see all this extra long zipper tape. We're going to cut this off later, so don't worry about that. Okay, so on the right side, it should look a little bit like this. It's attached, but you still see the actual zipper tape. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is we're going to open this up and then also open up our zipper. And if your zipper tape is pretty long, that's why it's always good to use a little bit longer zipper. I'm going to take the zipper pull and extend it like I just did. So we're stopping here, but I extended it, and I can go further down if I want to, but it's not necessary. So now I'm going to flip this back around, and now you see the zipper coils here. You can bend those back like that for them to lay flat. Now, it says not to press these because of the iron, but if you use a pressing cloth on top, you can put a little heat to it and it'll lay that down flat just a little bit more. And then we'll be able to get the needle as close as we can so it will be invisible, okay? So go to your pressing table and carefully do that. If you're a little nervous, you can just leave them the way they are and just finger press it to make them stay flat as possible. Okay, I'm gonna switch my presser foot back out. Now this presser foot is gonna help add weight to keep those corals down. Okay, so like I said, you want to have these open as much as possible because we're gonna get it right there in the center. Okay, now we're gonna put our needle right there in that little crease. So I'm gonna open that up, put that needle right there in that crease, and then we're gonna backstitch at the beginning and also at the end. Just pay attention to where my needle is going. Okay. Okay, now you see that stitching just under the corals right there. All right, so you want to do the other side the same exact way. Okay, now we're back from the machine. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the zipper up. All right. And then now we have an invisible zipper. You can't even see anything right here. Okay, and then right here where that zipper stops, I'm gonna go ahead and just hand stitch a couple of times just to secure it, just in case the zipper wants to go past this area. Okay, I'm gonna cut any loose threads so it won't get caught in the zipper. And then I'm just gonna cut this off. Okay, now you want to take your other front and side front and sew them up and add your zipper the same exact way. Okay, now you want to grab your back and your side back and turn them right sides facing. And we're going to pin along here, and then we're going to stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, now that we have our back piece complete, you want to go ahead and press that seam open. And then now we're going to take our front and place it right sides facing. And we're going to pin right here at this center inside seam. You want to be sure that you pin at that notch first. Okay, so now we're just going to head to the machine and we're going to stitch starting at the crotch all the way down to the hem. So do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so I'm back from the machine and also pressing station. I went ahead and pressed that middle seam together. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to take our left and our right pant legs, and we're going to take them and place them right sides facing. matching up the center seam here. And there should be a double notch indicating the front, and then a triple notch indicating the back. Okay, so now we're going to head to the machine and we're going to stitch on one end and go all the way to the other end using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And because this is your crotch area, you want to make sure you have a very secure stitch. Now you can use a stretch stitch. We didn't use stretch stitch on these because these are vertical, but when you start expanding and walking, you want to make sure this area right here is very secure. So you can use a stretch stitch, or you can just stitch twice just to reinforce that stitch. Okay, so go ahead and do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so we're back from the machine and also pressing the center crotch area in from the front and the back. And then now I have my pant leg separated into my right and my left side. So the back, center back is facing up. Okay, so along this left side here, I've already pinned, and we're going to stitch this down using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. But then over here on the right side, we're going to start here at the hem and we're going to stitch all the way up until we get to our notch. We're going to back stitch and break your threads at the notch, and then we're going to do a basting stitch from the notch up to the top of the waist. Okay, so do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so moving along, this right here is the right side with the back facing up, and this right here is the left. Now we're going to insert this invisible zipper to this right side seam. Okay, so you want to go ahead and press that seam open. So you want to go ahead and insert this invisible zipper the same way we did both of our invisible zippers to our hem. Okay, so go ahead and do that, come back and we'll continue. So before you get started, one thing I do want to note, if you're looking at your instructions, you want to put them down and follow the same exact steps that I did for the first ones we did. And also when it comes to this side zipper, because we're not at the hem, you can extend your zipper tape above your waist and then also extend it past your notch or your marking, whatever marking you put, because we'll be able to trim off the top and also trim off the bottom. Okay, just so you know. So go ahead, do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, now that we have put our invisible zipper in, as you can see, mine is extended, and I'll just cut that off a little later. But for right now, we're going to work on our front and our back facings. So what we're going to do is we're going to take them and then turn them right sides facing. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stitch the opposite side where you have your invisible zipper. If you made a mistake and did it on the left side with the back facing up, you want to do it over here. But if you did it like me, you want to go ahead and just stitch that left side. Okay, so do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so once you have your front and back attached at the seam, we're going to go ahead and open up that invisible zipper. And then now we're just basically going to take that side seam and we're going to pin it. And of course, right side's facing. And then now what I want to do next, I want to go ahead and pin those notches first. Okay, so you have those back notches. You want to go ahead and pin those right there in place. So when it comes to where the zipper is, we're going to take our zipper. I know it's like this, but you want to take it and open it up and then lay that right across, matching up everything. Okay, I'm going to just rotate it to the front and we're going to continue pinning the same exact way. Be sure to pin exactly where you see the notches together, because you will have to pull a little bit and then stitch at the same time, because you want that band to kind of snap on. And then the same thing with the zipper over here is like this. You open it up and then you lay it flat. And then now you just want to match everything up. All right, so now we're just going to head to the machine and we're going to stitch all the way around using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then after we do that, you want to come to your zipper and then you want to make sure those cores are laying as flat as possible. And then we're going to, I would say do the seam allowance, but your seam allowance might be off a little bit depending on what you might have done when you was sewing. But it's supposed to be 5/8 of an inch, and then it should get right there, right up under those corals like we did when we was putting in the zipper. Okay, so go ahead and do all the way around, and then also get really close to those zipper coils, and then go all the way down. And you want to back stitch at the beginning and also at the end. All right, so do all of that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so I'm back from the machine, and as you can see, I went ahead and stitched across and then stitched down. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just clip. I'm gonna clip that off. Basically, I'm just going to make sure that corner is nice. Okay, and I'm just going to trim just a little bit here, and then just a little bit there. So when I turn it right side out, let me push that corner out. Okay, and then we're gonna do the other side the same exact way. So now it's a good time to go ahead and understitch. So basically, you want to take your seam allowance and face it towards the facing, and we're gonna get as close as we can to one side, and we're just going to stitch on the facing but close to that seam allowance without going into the seam. Okay, so do that all the way around, and then that will be able to lay flat and roll to the inside, and you will have your waist completed. Okay, and then the side seam will be just like that. So go ahead and do your understitching. Okay, last but not least, we have the hem. You want to go ahead and open that up, and then to finish off the hem, you want to open this up right here, and then you want to fold down that zipper tape if you have some sticking out. And then you just roll back where the notch is. So I'm going to put a pin here just to hold it in place. And you just want to head to the machine, and you just want to get as close as you can to the coils, stitching on this side right here. Okay, so stitch right here, then you want to do the other side the same way. Open that, the zipper is like this, you want to open it up, fold the top of the tape out the way, and then you can fold the rest of that hem down where your notch is. And like I said, you want to do the other one the same exact way by just stitching close to the coils, and then you want to do your other pant leg the same exact way. Okay, just to show you the hem, once you have it all sewn, you just want to turn it right side out, just like this. And then once you give it a good press, you can just go ahead and turn up the rest of that seam allowance. And like I said, give it a good press. And then you can either tack it down so you won't have any seams, or you can do a regular stretch stitch or a very narrow zigzag stitch all the way around to close off that hem. Okay. Okay, so once you press and finish up your hem, the only thing you have left is to just tack down the facing onto all the seams on the inside. Okay? And once you do all that, you're all done. All right, congratulations. I hope you enjoyed this course. Now be sure to tag us on Instagram at MimiG Style and also at Norris Delta Ford so we can see your amazing looks. All right, see you in the next one.